What's up, AfterBuzzers? We are back with episode 2. Listen, Sandra is determined to save the world. Jay is ready to be a lawyer, and there are no shortcuts out of a labyrinth. This is the For the People After Show with our special in-studio guest, Regé-Jean Page. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
My Snicker bar.
I cannot. That's what we got. Right? Like a flash dance, full-on costume.
This is what I came
yes.
for. This is
You like our dance, man?
I wanted a front row seat to this, and that's,
Right?
I got what I came for.
Listen, AfterBuzz TV is all about the dance party before
It
you
is.
start.
Yeah.
It's
Every song.
a thing.
Pre-party.
It's definitely a
Especially
thing.
with the Shonda production. You have
Okay.
to have a
Right.
dance party. What?
Every single time. But without further ado, we are here. Welcome back. This is the For the People After Show panel.
Yes.
I am Keith Andre. We are super excited, like Jesse Spano from Saved by the Bell. And the gang's all here.
We are. Woo-hoo. We made it another week, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, let's go through. We got Tori.
Marie.
And Takira Shabrae.
All right.
And
And drum roll, please. Special guest in the building. All the dance moves go to Regé-Jean Page.
On this weird pedestal. Hey, my name's Reggae. What's up?
Give the people what they want.
This
Give
is
them
my camera. Is that my camera? Is that me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Give that camera the eyeball.
Oh, the
Either
idol.
one.
We'll mix it up.
There you go.
All right.
Okay.
On that note, let's go ahead and get started because this is going to be super duper fun.
Yes.
Episode 2.
Yes.
What did you guys think?
I'm so glad it picked up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
proud of Jay.
Didn't Jay come through?
Jay came through.
Yeah.
Jay
I was
came
proud.
through.
I was really sold on Seth and Kate working together.
I
They
like
make a
that
good
too.
team.
I have a lot of thoughts, as you know, but I really like Kate now. And yeah, because I was on the fence. I didn't know if I was going to throw her out. I enjoy her a lot.
Fence
Yeah.
local code for late to the party.
Burn.
fine.
Hey,
Yeah.
Little John, man.
I'll take that. I just didn't know like how different she was going to be, but I noticed that she is super different from. We were comparing her. A lot of people were comparing her to Christina Yang on Grey's Anatomy, but you get to see in this episode like she's so different. She's like a voice of reason for everybody.
She is.
She
Yeah.
is. She's. I call her like a stern helper because I feel like she genuinely wants to help people, but like she's just not gonna put up with your BS. She's gonna tell you
all.
exactly how it is, how she wants to say it. But who doesn't like somebody like that?
Yeah.
We all know, right? We all know.
And I thought about you watching this episode. I was like, especially when Kate, she said something like when she didn't want to be bothered and like really, and she was just so blunt about it. And I was like, I wish I could be that way.
Right.
Because I try to put my headphones on or be in my phone, and people still talk to me like I'm not.
Yeah,
Here
Just
she's
have
right
a
now.
friendly face.
You know.
But she's not going for it. My favorite moment from Kate was when she was like, whatever they were saying about sleeping, and she was like, I haven't slept more than 4 hours since elementary school. I was like,
Like,
yes.
Which
Get
was
your
swiftly
life.
followed by, I was disappointed in my teachers.
Teachers, right? Like, well, okay.
Like, man.
It's
That's
kind of
my
like
type
speaking
of girl.
truth to power, except being the power and speaking truth at the same time.
Yes.
This is what Kate Littlejohn somehow pulls off.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's so good.
Wow.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get into it. I kind of thought, breaking them down because we got to see a lot of pairings. Jay was by himself. Of course, Leonard was by himself.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't.
Primarily, he was.
He wasn't.
Okay.
True.
He had his mommy.
Yep.
I said primarily.
Because,
Mommy.
well, what man doesn't need his mommy, right? Especially in law.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah. She kind of played him at the end, but I
It's
guess we'll
okay.
get to that.
Yeah,
We'll get
she
to that.
did.
I was about to say, I love how you think he wasn't alone there, because he felt very alone by the time Mommy was done.
Yeah, she was not having it, and
Yeah, no.
that'll lead me into predictions later. But I really like seeing her and Marie Johnson, and I know her from like In the Heat of the Night and like
Yes.
Living Color. So I was just like, yes,
I was like, okay, that's his mom.
Yeah.
right,
Strong,
I was excited
powerful.
about that. Yes.
super good. But okay, so we'll come back to Leonard and his story a little bit because we did get to see it, right? But the episode did start with Sandra and Allison. So what do y'all thought on
I
the
need
girls
to
in
know
there?
what's up with Allison. I mean, so excuse me. I need to know
Really?
what's up with Sandra.
Sandra.
No,
Thank
not
you.
Alpha,
Yeah,
with
that's what
Sandra
I was gonna say.
in the
too.
bag, and not wanting to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to know. There's some childhood trauma there or something. Like
I think
need
so
to
too.
know. Yeah.
I peeped that before they hinted to it at the end, whenever she was, in court on trial. But I definitely peeped that. I thought, okay, Nomad doesn't like to stay in one place at one time. Did she lose her family? Did she have to leave? Has she been hurt? So all of these different things were going through my mind, and I kind of peeped game a little early on. But
Yeah, based on her
It's
behavior.
intriguing. Yeah.
What did you think about Allison? She kind of threw me. I'm gonna be on the fence with a few people because I'm kind of on the fence with her because my whole thing with Allison.
Pick a side, bro. Take the heat. Take the heat.
So we learned that she and Seth had dated for 2 years, but when it got down to where she was like, "Okay, you can come home now," I was just like, "Excuse me."
Right, yeah, same.
Yeah.
Because last week I was kind of on her side.
But that, I feel like her saying that spoke to their history. That's clearly what they always do.
Okay.
They get into a fight. One of them
True.
decides. One of them gives in. Apparently, it's usually always her. Oh, him?
No, it's him.
Him.
He's
yes,
weak.
because he
Yeah,
said
'cause
that.
it goes her
He
way.
said
Running
that.
it, yeah.
He says
He
this is
said
what
that.
we do. You say how we're going to fix it, and I play
Yes.
second chair, and I don't want to
Yes.
second chair anymore.
Absolutely.
And especially because something that big, like it really affected him. This wasn't like, oh, you ate the last of my cereal.
Right.
This was really deep. So we have to
Yeah.
address
But
it.
she really did eat the
Right.
last of
Most
his cereal.
Soy flakes.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Soy flakes.
I was gonna say, first of all, who wants soy flakes? And secondly,
Apparently.
Yeah.
he can have them. But my thing was, you're welcome to your own bowl of soy flakes, but keep your spoon. I'd rather have my own bowl of cereal.
You wouldn't want to share?
No, Tori, I don't.
I agree with you on that too, Keith. And the first thing, when you said that, the first thing that popped into my mind was also like when people share bowls of ice cream, like on TV. It's just
a little.
Okay, that's like people going to an ice cream parlor and, like Baskin Robbins and sharing like a sundae or a milkshake. It's the same thing.
No, you guys, you have to go together to share those things.
We have to have a serious type of relationship.
Yes.
And I barely know you. I just let you move in.
No, okay, first of all, they don't just barely know you.
No,
friends.
that's fair.
They're
That's fair. That's fair. But no,
I know,
I'm
y'all got
sorry.
issues.
Call it what you want.
I'm
Issues.
interested.
I'm sensing a shipper here. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Exactly.
You're just like trying to sneak it in slow. We're just like, let them share ice cream and maybe hold hands a little bit.
Exactly.
Do you guys seriously not share ice cream?
No.
I'm an ice cream sharer.
See?
I
I'm a
mean,
big ice cream sharer.
See?
with certain people.
Yeah, with certain
Yeah.
people.
Okay,
It
your
could've-
BFF is not one of them?
She's the nurse, so that's the only reason why.
Oh.
Because I'm like, oh, okay, this won't kill me. You don't think so? Perfect, I'm down.
We can
Whatever.
share.
But I'm
Alright.
interested. This whole like Sandra and Allison thing, it's going way too good. I'm just waiting for that moment that it's just bam.
Gonna fall.
explosive.
I don't think it'll completely fall apart.
think so
I think
either.
that we are starting to see like the framework for like a good friendship. And even when they had the discourse where Sandra was or Allison was telling her about putting her stuff away. That was like a hard stop, a no for her, and so she went and got the little thing. So
Yeah.
I think
It's
they
like
have a
she
good
respected
friendship.
her boundaries,
boundaries.
and
That was
things like
sweet.
that. So,
Yeah. And then I thought that it was nice. It showed more of that friendship dynamic where they ran into, Seth, that awkward moment.
That was
And I was just like,
That was
Okay,
one of my favorite moments.
That was one of your favorite moments.
I thought Britt did some great stuff there. And also,
Yeah.
it's one of those great moments where you start realizing that the team are writing for you. Because this is how you know we're out of the
Yes.
pilot. Because that gag about, I don't think hiding behind me is going to work for you.
Yeah.
To old Allison,
Yeah.
that was
Yes.
great.
yeah.
Wonderful.
High quality.
Yeah.
High quality. That
I
gave
just-
friendship vibes.
Yeah.
BFF.
And how she was really just trying to she's making all these moves and power moves. Like, okay, Sandra, you're doing a bit much, but you appreciate that you're trying to be there for your friend.
Yeah.
Like, oh, she's good. She's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how she said, "Oh, I can say hi too." Hi.
Right. What are the rules here?
Exactly.
Because there's levels to it.
right? Are we friends? Are we cool? No.
How do we make this work?
Do I give the
Yeah.
side eye? Yeah,
Right.
that was cute.
Yeah, and I'm interested in seeing where we go with Seth because, first week was a little rough. Then he has this moment with his ex, and then he's partnered with Kate
Yeah.
to work together. And you said you enjoyed. I
I
really
did.
thought they were a good pair.
They were.
Yeah,
There's a buddy cop movie in there.
yeah, 100%,
Yeah.
100%.
Definitely, because I pictured Leonard and Kate just because, the power, the respect. I think Leonard has a few things to learn As far as to kind of get on Kate's level a little bit, but I don't know who this might be our treasure guy.
Please, she wants to climb up to this level. Right?
Talk your dirt. Talk your dirt, right? I don't have the teacup tonight. You wanted the dirt, you get the dirt.
She ain't here. I'm gonna plead my case. If the defense doesn't turn up, that's not on me.
Okay.
So you
You heard it here first.
You've retained some of your legal experience. Beforehand, we were talking to him about it. He was like, I don't remember none of that law stuff. But no, it works in your favor. You bring it up.
You use it when you want to. When it's to win an argument, it's like,
Yeah. I mean, it's like you spend long enough with someone like Leonard, and little bits rub off. He's like a friend that I carried around for a bunch of months, and he's not always a great example. But there are little things that I can take. They help.
Oh,
absolutely, absolutely. What else did you guys see in Kate and Seth kind of relationship and friendship on the show?
They compromise for sure. The fact that he's
kind of unwillingly at first.
Unwilling compromise. I think he is, so fly off the handle. I'm just trying to find my way sort of guy. And, she, like I said, compromised. He kind of got more organized, thought a little deeper, and she took that shortcut that she said that she doesn't like to take.
She said it wasn't a shortcut.
It wasn't.
She refused to accept it.
You know, I am going to stand up for Seth a little bit, and this is where you know I'm not Leonard now. I think Ben Rappaport, actually, I'm going to give a shout out, was secretly doing some fantastic work in that episode, because I'd never seen Seth grow a spine in such a gloriously kind of detailed and subtle way as Ben did with him, which I thought was great. Because like the argument with Allison at the end, I thought was fantastic. Because Jasmine's got this wonderful thing going where I don't know if you follow the live tweets, and she's like, she reckons Allison wins every argument. Just like, who's winning this argument, Allison or Allison? And I think Seth came out on top that time.
He
stood
did.
up for himself.
100%.
It was great to watch. It really was.
I'm glad that we saw that in him, because the pilot, we all pretty much said he was weak.
Yeah.
And I was waiting for him to have his moment. Yeah. And I think that he did.
He did.
He did.
And more with Jasmine with Allison and with Kate.
With Kate, right. Yeah. And speaking of Kate, I was waiting for her to give Seth his credit just a little bit, because he was like, so you're going to take my idea. Like, we're going to go with the original
And she totally
plan.
did, by the way.
Yeah.
She totally did.
Right.
And she tweaked it a little bit,
Yeah.
She definitely did.
She was a little more strategic with it, but
he
it was
laid
still
the foundation for it.
Right.
Like,
Exactly. And then when she gifted him the kind of binder, the organ, I
so
thought that was, oh my gosh,
That
this
was
is
so
nice.
sweet.
Right?
So sweet. It was like the white flag at the end, like, okay, we can be friends.
We can make this work. But I think we are seeing that it feels like Kate can get along with anyone. So it'll be interesting when we get to a point of contention with her.
I feel with Kate, she can open up to you, but she still will be at a distance.
Right.
You know, she's gonna be careful and
She still
take
has
her
a
time.
guard.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you guys need to see this week's episode. That's all I'm going to say on that one.
We want the
Like, any spoilers? Anything?
I'm just saying, if you're Kate fans, there's some good Kate stuff coming up.
Okay.
There are
Nice.
depths to this woman.
Ooh.
And I'm going to give my second shout out to the night to that one.
Okay.
Susanna Flood does some fantastic work on this.
Yeah,
character.
she's awesome.
I mean, for me, like from the first table read, I said, I'm watching this show for Kate and Jay. Those interactions slay me.
Yeah.
Wow.
But also just kind of the detail that both of them put into
Yeah.
their works. I mean,
Absolutely.
Jay's closing argument, I mean, I know y'all are going to get to that, but
Man. Amazing.
and just kind of seeing where those breakpoints are with
Right.
Kate. Because Kate, there's obviously this surface level thing which the character presents
Right.
as
Right.
the front. And then every time you see that slip, like I think in this episode, there's the moment after they go to Judge Burns' house, and he just kind of burns them to the ground.
Right.
And you suddenly see this fully formed, fully kind of emotionally three-dimensional woman pop out and get really frustrated at Seth.
Yeah.
Not in an egotistical way, which is what you might get from someone like, I don't know, Leonard. Sort of saying. But in a purely just kind of, I can't believe I let you do this.
Right.
There's a reason I have
Yeah.
these rules. And
Exactly.
that really got to me, just as a fan of someone watching my friends work. Watching a show
Yeah.
that I love.
Yeah.
It's like, that's, I love
Bravo.
that.
That's
That's a
amazing.
good point. I feel like I kind of dismissed that side of her, actually. That's
yeah?
really interesting that you brought that up. Yeah, because, I mean, that does say a lot about her character.
Yeah.
And kind of like, I don't know, now thinking about it, leading, especially into next week's episode, kind of maybe what we'll get from her.
Yeah, and her experience.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great point. Yeah.
That maybe she's not just an ice queen.
Yeah.
She's actually.
How do you feel about that?
Susanna is about as prestigious as the character, so there's a reason for everything.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see it. I mean, you guys know I'm a little biased against Kate because it's like looking in the mirror sometimes.
Interesting. Yeah. But even from onset, from the pilot, I feel like I took note of Kate and Jay. Well, more of Kate. And I feel like with this episode, I got to see that Jay's character is a lot more room for depth than you may give him credit just having seen the pilot. So we'll go ahead and get right into Jay because he took over. He had his moment.
Love Jay.
Did his thing, right?
Goosebumps, literally.
Yes.
Literally had goosebumps.
He carried us all for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
We were all just sitting there in awe. Of the live, because we get together on a Tuesday night, we live tweet over the East Coast feed over here, and like Wissam was in the room and he brought his parents to the screen, so his parents were there.
Oh my goodness.
And it was again blowing Jasmine's mind because she was watching Wissam talk to his parents about defending a Nazi whilst Jay was talking to his fake parents on screen about defending a Nazi.
Oh my God.
And we were all just sitting there inceptioning out of our minds.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
But we were just, that room was so proud of Wissam.
Yeah, he did amazing
he did a
work.
really good
I thought he
job.
was remarkable.
Yeah.
And he did show so many varying kind of perspectives of Jay's character as well, you know, from the onset of getting called in to the office.
Yeah.
And I did appreciate too that there is a comedic sense with him.
A little
I
bit.
thought he got, you know,
Yeah.
even when he wanted to keep blaming everything on Kate and the way I really like him. It made me like super interested in Jay as a character.
Yeah.
Because beforehand I was not. He
First
wasn't on my
episode,
radar.
Y'all are all
Just a
secretly
little.
Kate up in here.
Just a tad.
Just a little bit.
Could you imagine, because what got to me in this episode was Jay defending a Nazi.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine, like, for those that, I mean, we're a panel of, you know, beautiful souls, and, you know, to defend somebody that's kind of oppressed you for so long, or, you know, the stereotype, and how he did it was so interesting to where I'm like so on his side. We're like, you know what, I could do this. I could defend the one person that looks at me a certain way and prove you wrong and fly high instead of low. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was so inspiring.
Put it on repeat.
Yeah.
They go low, we go high.
Right?
Just about to say that.
Absolutely.
So that just like touched my spirit. So yes, Jay.
Yeah, I think it definitely makes you feel that it's something that you can overcome and accomplish. Whether we actually can or not, I don't know that everybody, you know, would have the ability to kind of face that and to take on that challenge. But he did kind of make that actualized. And I feel that even with a lot of what we saw from Jay over the course of the episode, with this monologue at the end, it was attached to that connective piece to Shonda Land. And, you know, I always talk about the oneness of the human experience. So we got to see a bunch of that through his eyes, from the start of being with his family, the dry cleaner, to in the office, to finally where he gets to kind of break this wall in his thinking and how he sees people and how he sees himself as a lawyer.
Right.
So.
All of that.
I think what I really liked and respected about him was just his emotion. Like, and the fact that he's really in tune with himself and just the honesty, you know, like at first he did not want to defend this guy, which makes complete sense. But then for him to turn it around, and then for him to put like you said, more like an actual twist on it. Like, how often do we judge people based on how they look? Like, and when they brought up all the other 4 people who basically looked like him.
Right.
You know, but everybody was like, oh, well, from behind the Alexander, like, it was him. You know what I mean? Like, we do that on a regular basis, so I feel like that will, unfortunately, I said that a little too easily. Unfortunately, sometimes that might happen. But
oh, don't worry, they're all getting convicted with you. Everyone was like, "Yep."
Right.
We do. It's happening.
That's the sad truth.
But I don't know, something about just his passion and like him not being afraid to speak kind of his truth and what he believes in to make his case.
Right.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
to
beautifully,
see,
he changed.
Yeah, I was going to say that. The
so
sleep
much through
task.
the episode.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things about the writing. It gives all of us that space to go on a journey, whether it's over 45 minutes or whether it's over the 10 episodes.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
there is a real integrity to the way that Paul William Davis's writing works.
Absolutely.
The way he runs his writing room. We all get so much room to play, and it's a challenge because it takes skill to do the things that Britt and Wissam in particular were doing in that episode, where you're turning on a sixpence.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, you don't have that phrase in this country.
Yeah,
Turning on a dime.
there we go.
Yeah, remind myself
like,
where I am.
am.
But you know, you're turning on a dime. He's sitting there just going, he hates who I am. I can't do this. And he's saying that, and he believes it 100% when he says it. And then by the end of the episode, he's pulling out one of the most inspirational speeches that any of us have seen in the exact opposite direction.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because that's the beauty of how we can change and how we interact with justice, and that's what's so kind of delicious.
That's the point of it all.
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna see.
And then also earlier when he was upset about it, so not only like his client not liking him, but him not liking the client. Like, this is your oppressor and things like that. And when Jill came in and had to bring up the point of how she's had to defend rapists and abusers, like people that have, you know, beat their wives, girlfriends, whomever, and you still have to do your job because it's justice, it's according to the law, and everyone has a right to it. So you still have to, you know, do your job. And I think that kind of it was starting to. That wasn't the moment that he changed, but a little bit, like a small light bulb, a little dim, okay. And then he had his full switch at the end where he's like, you know, he's able to make that case, like he said, because he has a case.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. I love what his. It was his father.
His dad.
The father-son moment at the end.
I know.
Yes.
I love that. It's like him telling you, like, look, you've had the tools all along. At that moment that you realize what your tool is to make a change in this world, and like your purpose in life is an amazing feeling, and you just saw that glimmer in his eye.
Yes. Come
It's
on.
amazing.
High quality television. It is, because I feel it does, like you said, it speaks to the writing, but also I think as a viewer, whether you're like in the industry or not, but you can tell that the writing lends itself to give space enough where there's nuances from the character to the actor. And
amazing.
He did so, and a lot of people on the show do so in ways that are seamless, to where I don't want to worry about trying to figure out, okay, I wonder if he's making this decision. Is it the writer? Is it the character? Is it the actor? But it just presents itself in a way that is like so palatable.
Yes.
So
Yes.
shout out to him.
I got goosebumps just talking about it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's Jay. So let's go ahead and get into Leonard.
I mean, we don't have to talk about Leonard. The less said about episode 2 for Leonard. Like, it's cool. I'm going to give you a pass on that.
Oh no.
Must we dwell, darlings?
Yes. So we did get to see some of Leonard. We didn't get to see a lot of Leonard in episode 2.
Right.
But he's always going to be there, and he's always going to leave
It was
a
enough.
mark. Exactly.
We didn't see much, but it was enough. It was enough.
Right.
It's always enough. Leonard and that ego. What? I mean.
Look, he's
What are we
already on
gonna-
defense.
I'm just saying, in terms of who's won cases in this show so far,
Man.
Right?
anyone else wants to rock an ego, they can bring me their victories. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. All right.
Humility
looking
really
forward-
isn't his thing.
Really?
Yeah, but that's okay, you know. It's okay because it really sets us up for the moment where we get to see Leonard crumble. And that's going to be a beautiful experience.
And
Will, I'm
we're
waiting on
certainly
it.
getting there. I mean, there was precious little winning in episode 2. Like, I'm already doing the Leonard trick of just like throw an ego at you to disguise what you can see clearly with your own eyes.
Right.
There was zero winning.
Zero.
Like, episode 1 he steamrolled everyone, and then episode 2 we got a bit of a swing back where every single thing he tried didn't quite, except with Seth. Still won over Seth.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Seth and that hair and losing to his girlfriend. Like, it's just
Exactly.
like he had nothing on me there.
You can't beat that. You
Late.
can't beat that.
Late to the meeting. I mean, you know, a little bit of everything.
A little bit. But he did, like we said, he tried to pull out some stops and call his mom in. He felt the type of way because he wasn't getting enough credit. Like, we all don't know.
Teamwork.
You know what?
Did everyone else catch this teamwork?
But you know,
Slander.
I'm going to defend him a little bit because
Okay.
when I heard, yes, ma'am, because when I heard that, I was like, you darn right. I had a little, I mean, it was a little bit of teamwork, but I mean, Leonard did a lot for that case.
Yeah.
And A little piece of me, it was my ego. I don't know.
was
Maybe
me too.
it was my ego.
I was looking. I
It was my inner Leonard. I was like, you're darn right I had enough to say about this.
Leonard just believes everyone should be their best selves. This is a noble cause.
But I feel like it's rookie season, even though, you guys are officially lawyers, but it's still rookie season. And sometimes it's a hazing thing. Like, not all the time, but like, okay, you just have to take this one on the chin. And you'll win more cases and your name will get out there. But right now, okay, you just have to take this one.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't agree.
Take the textiles case.
Well, right. I was going to say, I feel like it was a little bit of a learning lesson for him because he tried to pull out the mom card out of his get bag, and that did not.
It did not work.
And she was like, "What?
She
what
let him know
are you
it
doing?"
didn't work.
Right.
Right.
This is what you want.
It was love. It's tough love. I think we all know how that goes.
Absolutely.
She played it straight when she was in front of my boss. She was
Right.
like, "Hey, here's the thing." And she was like, "Don't do that to me again."
Exactly. This will never
That
happen.
sounds like my mom. Yeah.
Right.
Really
Most
does.
people's parents.
Right,
Right. We'll
yeah.
save face, and then behind closed doors, like, you got the wrong. You done messed
You
up.
tried
now.
it.
Right.
You done messed up now.
Can I say that when, before we exactly knew who his mom was, whenever he came in with Kate and gave her the sandwich, and she was like, "Oh, I don't like mayo. I already ate." And then he said, "Mom," I was like, "Is he throwing the mom card? She's already meeting the mom?" That's the first
Oh
time
my God.
Leonard plays hard.
Yeah.
We went tradition to mom.
I was like,
In an instant.
wow, they barely had a half date, but that kind of counts.
And I fed her.
Yeah, right?
Can I just put that out there? We set up a tradition, and then I gave her food.
Yeah. Which is the way to a woman's
Right.
heart.
You guys are pretty much married now.
So I gave her
Right.
food, and I said, "Meet my mother." I don't know how much more obvious Leonard could be at this point.
You know?
That makes sense.
So I was like, wow, that was the
That
big
does.
moment.
Oh my gosh. Well, we'll
was.
see. I am interested. Like, Leonard is one of the characters that I'm really interested in, kind of seeing develop and see unfold. No, not just because you're here. Not just because you're here, but I do feel that way. I feel that, and we'll get ready to shift into the interview in a second.
Sure.
But I do feel like for me, as an actor or whatever else, or I noticed you in Roots. And when I saw you in Roots, it was one of the few times I feel like in this era that, for me as a person with my build or whatever I am, it was the one of the few times where I felt like, oh, that's it. Like, it was the reignition in my head to where I see somebody that I see myself in. So, you can be an actor, you can have integrity, you can pick parts, you can do all of that. So when I saw you on For the People, I am super interested in seeing where you go with this character.
Incredibly reassuring. Thank you.
Yeah,
First and foremost,
absolutely.
thank you for putting in the time to watch Roots. I know it's not the same as flicking on the big button.
Now, for me, just to tap on Roots a little bit, I was actually excited that they did that because take my card away, I had never seen the original.
Yeah.
And so I wanted, so I was like, and I wanted
is
to
why
watch
we
it,
made
but
it.
exactly.
For
So
sure.
it
You are the
gave
reason.
me, and thank you. So now I guess thank you because it was an experience to really watch that. So I'm glad that
Absolutely.
they decided to remake that.
I mean, it was amazing. And you did an incredible job.
Thank you.
Incredible job.
But that, incidentally, everything you just touched on that's my driving force whenever I try to do a job on a show like Roots. For me, myself, it's always about how you can put yourself in service. That's the running motive of my ideology. And so in Roots, I'm in service to representing an awful lot of people on an awful lot of different levels. I'm sure I'm representing everyone at this table in a slightly different way. You haven't seen it, you were suddenly seeing yourself reflected. And that's so incredibly important to see yourself both professionally and just as a human. Reflected back in the world with your own flaws, with your own aspirations, and just kind of seeing what the range of our humanity can be in the context of a history that has not only stripped that humanity away completely, but then we live in a world that still lives in that context and has it severely limited. And so I think so much of what we do, and what we're doing now in the studio when we put ourselves out there, is about expanding those borders and saying, check it out, we all exist, we're all beautiful, we are all capable of wonderful and terrible things, and we can be all of that all at once.
Yes.
That's amazing.
I got a little bit sidetracked there.
I felt like I wanted an organ to play right then and there.
Right? Come on. No, that was perfect. That was well said for sure.
And kind of staying on that note and playing Leonard, did you feel that you learned some things about yourself?
I was
doing that?
genuinely afraid of taking Leonard on. Actually, I remember when we were talking with my team about this part before we started, and I was scared to spend that much time with this guy because I know it's I know it's an energy that I'm capable of. I hope. I don't know. I hope you guys agree. But it's also not one that I'm super comfortable inhabiting for 6 months out of the year. You know, there's a lot of things about Leonard that are problematic.
Yeah.
But again, kind of coming back to that theme, I find it incredibly important and useful and interesting to humanize that, to give it 3 dimensions. Not to harp on about that one time I did Roots. But like my big thing on that was that I'd never seen, especially, I watched the original and it's wonderful, but in terms of what you can bring to that, there are certain archetypes and stereotypes of kind of the noble suffering slave. But that's kind of what you get this 2-dimensional cipher. And it's incredibly important to give those people flaws, to give these people 3 dimensions, to make them people. And likewise with Leonard, yes, he's the arrogant one. But there is, the more you can flesh that out, the more that someone who recognizes those flaws in themselves can also see the other side of themselves in there. Yeah. And we can all kind of build our compassion towards each other and go, okay, cool, so you're a Kate, but I know that there are reasons these rules are in place, and I know how to work with that. I know how to care for that. You know, how we can all start finding compassion in the workplace and do what Jay, what Weeson did so wonderfully in that episode, and switch your opinions and still believe just as strongly. Yeah. And still, like, I feel so much like everyone feels like if they're trying to be righteous, to fight for justice, you have to have an opinion and defend it and not listen to anything that's coming at you.
True. Right.
When in fact, the beauty, and my favorite thing about this show, is that it's about how you fight for justice in the real world. Yeah. You know? And how you do that is you listen and you change. Yeah. And you learn new things about the people in front of you. And you go, okay, still don't like you very much, but I get what's going on here a bit more. And there are ways we can move forward together from opinions that I didn't know existed 5 minutes ago. Yeah. You know?
That's amazing.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. How did this come about for you?
I'd see at this point my answers get very boring. Someone gave me a piece of paper, I read it real good, they asked me to read it again, I read it real good again, and they're like, hey, we'll pay you money if you keep reading it that good. And I was like, yeah!
Okay, let's do it.
Perfect. Oh my goodness. So you knew right then you got the role, or did they like call you?
Well, when they put the check in front of me, yeah.
At that point, it was a thing.
I mean, you know.
I was pretty sure.
I was like, what's on that piece of paper? Yeah, okay, we can talk.
Same day action is always
no,
good.
I'm sorry to be facetious, but I never quite know how to answer that question. I read the character, they pitched it at me, and I said, yeah, I can do this. And they said, yeah, we think you can do this. And
That's amazing. You know? Sometimes you can't explain the things that are meant to be. So,
okay.
That is true. I'm curious to know, based off what you said after her first question, what does it take for you mentally to get into the mindset of Leonard?
A little bit too much relaxation. I just let that be. Like, you know those walls you got holding that back? Just let them
go. Oh my god.
No, I mean, I approach Leonard the same way I approach any character. I read a lot. I look at what he's saying, and then I look at what he's really saying. And then you figure out how to marry those two things, which is why I'm so interested, like I said, with Kate, in the moments where the wall drops and you see what's driving the wall. You see who's holding that wall up. And likewise with Leonard, I think you guys put your finger on it last week a little bit about a lot of people actually on Twitter just been like, this is a massively insecure man. Excellent. That was never in the script. Really? But that's certainly something that's, as in, no one said that out loud.
Yeah.
And so I've given myself a little pat on the back there because I'm screaming that.
Right.
From a certain, I mean, don't tell Leonard I said that. But no, it's just reading. Like the way that I work with everything is I see what people are saying, try and figure out what they're really saying, and then kind of figure out what role they play in balancing out what story we're telling. And then you just kind of work from there and see how that works, try and figure out how that person exists in the world, how people relate to them, why they relate to people that way, what's kind of hiding behind that. And then it's all in why. You know, why does someone do something? And then you figure out who they are.
Yeah.
Because who you are generally tends to be a kind of a collection of deformations and scars around getting what you want.
Yeah, no, true.
Yes.
You know? So once you know what someone wants, and then you see what mistakes they make and how they get it, you generally start building a character around that core. I say you, I do. I don't know. I don't know how you do it.
I get what you're saying.
This is what I do.
I get what you're saying. Yes.
So is it safe to say that Leonard's not your favorite character on the show?
I didn't say that.
Who is your favorite?
Do you think things are safe to say around this prosecutor right here? I'm going to pull you up on that language right there. Nothing is safe to say in my courtroom, young man.
Noted.
Right.
As you can tell, I'm adversarial for fun. That's definitely a big part of me. So that's easy to bring to Leonard.
Yeah.
In terms of whether he's my favorite character, as it changes from being and watching. As an audience member, like I said, I'm in this for Kate and Jane. That's my show right there. Everyone else is icing. I love what these people do. I'm slowly being converted to everyone else's case. Like I said, Seth was doing some beautiful things last week. And this is the other thing. Like, I don't get to see this stuff. Like, I'm at the table read.
Right.
So, I get people's first kind of slow cognizing of this stuff. Cognizing is not a word. But if I say
that was an English word
quickly enough,
right, it'll go.
But I see kind of the first sparks of this at the table read, and then people go off and they do their thing, and you kind of go into your own little mini movie of 5 scenes for the episode, and then 8 months later now, we've carried it to full term. We've carried this child. It's got to be a good 9 months. But you come back around, and suddenly I'm actually seeing what Ben Rappaport's doing in all these scenes that I'm not involved in. I'm seeing what Susanna Flood is bringing to Kate. I'm seeing what Jasmine and Britt and Anna Devine Smith and Vondi, like all this stuff that I don't touch. It's so cool for me to kind of go, oh, I heard you read that, and actually this has grown so much.
Yeah.
And so it's a great atmosphere to work in. Everyone's super proud of each other, which is touching because that's not always the case.
That's amazing.
But no, I wouldn't pick a favorite. But I certainly started from the Kate Littlejohn camp, and I'm growing outwards from there.
Nice.
I'll take it.
You guys have such an amazing chemistry with the recast that happened. I mean, you guys had to redo the pilot. If I'm mistaken, the script had to be changed. I mean,
Can I tell you the special feelings you get when you're told you have to redo your closing argument?
I cannot imagine.
That was my question. Like, what adjustments had to be made? Mentally, did you have to change anything?
I was in New Zealand, and it was just like, oh wow. The person you record, that's all my scenes. That's my entire episode of episode 1. So I was like, cool, I'll just do all of that again.
Oh my gosh.
Why not?
Wow.
Especially if you're feeling good about certain bits. It's just like, no! I'm never going to be able to do that again. I got it one time.
Exactly.
I wanted to ask you
like, CGI her face, man.
Do whatever you got to do.
We have the technology.
That's true.
But no, we're delighted with the energy that we've got in the cast at the moment. It's neither better nor worse. It's just a different thing. There was a shift in the energy of the show, and I think the warmth between Britt and Jasmine, between Sandra, I'm gonna keep my accent. Between Sandra and Alison, Sandra, don't take me back to the South. I've been there. I've done my first 6 months in this country in the South. I can do it, but I'm not going back. Y'all got bugs.
Big old bugs.
Real bugs.
Oh my god.
But no, the warmth between those two really is what's blown me away. Like, I think the chemistry between them is inspiring. And they're just kind of like that. Like, Britt and Jazz will riff off each other all day long. They just kind of make your heart tingle a little bit. So you're like, you guys should share ice cream.
It all makes sense.
I mean, everybody should share ice cream, but that's just me.
Okay.
It is just
Right? Like,
that's amazing.
Not quite here for the ice cream.
Now, I kind of wanted to dig a little bit deeper into you, like your personal background. So you're from, it's like, oh, okay. So we're going there.
Somebody want to bring the light bulb down into my face. And just we want to dig deeper.
We want to go in. No, so I was reading that you had an experience with your parents. You were younger. There was like a school or something to get into.
You have been digging. Where did you read this?
We wanted the dirt.
Don't say we wanted the dirt. You want to
wanted the dirt.
You want to go deeper. Don't go there. No, but so I believe you went.
I was selling, okay?
Listen, careful what you ask for. Careful what you ask for.
There's a difference.
But so your mother was taking you to a school. And so what is your mother's background?
My mother's Zimbabwean.
Okay. And then your father is British.
Yeah.
Okay. So your mother was taking you to the school. They claimed there was no admission. He couldn't get in. He goes back with just his father. Now he can get in.
And suddenly
with
space.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the joys of a freshly post-apartheid Zimbabwe at the time. And I mean, it's like I was saying, everything is context. You know, the little things. I'm gonna take a slight tangent, but I will come back.
Okay.
One of the things that I've been so happy about with Shondaland and with this show, one of the reasons that I decided, okay, I'll put up with being Leonard for a while, is because it is wonderful that she makes representative TV. Like, diversity is a bit of a buzzword, and it's nice that we've kind of helped folks in with this baby step of a trend and a hashtag that they come up with, but what we want to work towards is representation. A world that represents the world that we live in. And so much of the time, particularly after Roots, you read scripts and you find yourself either, and this happens in life, you find yourself either tokenized or a fetish or some kind of catharsis magnet for violence. And what I found in this show is that Leonard is, and again, I don't think this has even come up, he's not defined in any way, shape, or form by his cultural context, by his background, by his skin color. Leonard's a man.
Right.
Leonard exists in the context of a world that puts certain constraints and awarenesses on him. But that's not like... the adjectives that describe the character, the first one was not African American.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you now, 80% of the scripts I get, the first adjective is African American.
Wow.
You know?
That's a
and it's just
beautiful
like,
thing,
if
though.
that's the definition of who this person is to you, then I know you haven't written this character.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
See what I mean?
Yeah. So it's beautiful that Leonard wasn't the first.
No,
Right.
in fact,
Yeah.
I'm relatively sure that wasn't a thought when writing him. And I'm glad to have brought something to that.
Yeah.
And so, sorry, remind me of the original
But
question. 'Cause I know how
I was
linking
bringing
that
up your parents. So the whole issue with the school, like going with your mom not being able to get in, going with your dad.
Yeah.
So seeing that difference, seeing that that prejudice put in front of you when you played in Roots. How did that reflect, like, with your real life? Because you played in an era of slavery. You were transitioning into kind of the free man and things like that. But yet, in your life, you've seen this kind of a bit of racism. So, like, did you pull from those things, and how did it also make you feel that some of these things are still going on?
For me, right, this is what I was trying to link back to. Everything that I do in terms of putting out images into culture, that's what I try to imagine my job as, is that, you know, you put out images into the world, someone's got to do it, and if you're going to step in, that you have a responsibility about the images you put out.
Yes.
And so every time I step on screen, I know that I represent a certain idea. Just, I don't have a choice in that. I realized that early on. Like, this comes on, and there's a certain history that comes with that.
Yeah.
And the more that I can flesh that out and make it three-dimensional, and make it not the cipher that you expect from it, to make these people not defined by the tone of my skin when I walk on screen, and make these people defined by their humanity, by their flaws, by the fact that Leonard's a bit of a dick sometimes. You know, the first adjective on that character breakdown is bit of a dick. I can take that. But again, because it helps us learn to relate to each other. It helps, and my big kick is all about empathy. I think that what my job is about growing empathy. It's about growing oh God, if I'm going to get pretentious about it, a shared consciousness of our humanity. Because I think that so much of what media does when it's done badly is it dehumanizes us. It reduces us to these two-dimensional ciphers. And if anything else, I want to be the guy on the other side going and inflating that cipher back up into 3 dimensions. So everything I touch is about people who do live in the context of that world. And representing, we had a very interesting conversation about this just outside the studio before we started, the complexities and the contradictions of that. And so it's not about the prejudice you experience, it's about the person that builds. It's about the scars you carry with you, it's about how you paper them over, how you protect yourself, what your survival mechanisms are. Because George was one great big collection of survival mechanisms.
Absolutely.
And again, I don't think you'd be hard pressed to try and find those same survival mechanisms in our world now, 200-300 years later, in terms of where we find our celebrities. We're allowed to perform, we ain't allowed to kneel. But we can perform. You know, and so we find power where we can, and we find spaces to put ourselves out in public, and be defined by ourselves. And so whenever I do whatever work it is that I do, I have that at the forefront of my brain.
Perfect.
It's never about putting a spotlight on that adversity. It's about putting a spotlight on the people that adversity builds and how they relate to the world around them that lives with that in it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
very well said.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Wow.
I mean, what a beautiful experience. And to think about the intention behind it that kind of makes you so much greater. So thanks so much. We really appreciate you coming through and being here.
No, I
really...
have a huge appreciation for you guys doing what you do. It's wonderful to see. I mean, we were talking just before we came in.
Yeah.
You guys have come from work. You know, it's the end of a long day. You come in and sit in here and talk about this show just because you like it, and it's the least I can do to come and I'm here to pay homage to that. I think it's so cool that this thing that we put our hearts into. Thank you.
Oh, we are
any
grateful.
projects that you have coming up that you want to say?
Yeah, well, the thing's put me in my happy place right now. So I was in New Zealand when we heard about having to reshoot this pilot because I was shooting a movie called Mortal Engines, which is the next Peter Jackson produced big old insane sci-fi blockbuster thing.
Nice.
I can't say a huge amount about what's going on in that movie, but I do recommend you check out the trailer because it's nuts.
Okay.
It's kind of sci-fi, kind of not. It's the basic concept is cities, like actual huge city-sized cities on wheels, eating other cities. Because that's what the world's exactly. Exactly.
Interesting.
We're
That's our
definitely
starting
gonna
point.
have to, check out the trailer.
yeah.
Jeez. We're just about out of time, but again, we're so grateful for you coming by.
Yes,
This
thank
was
you so much.
Such an experience. We can catch for the people each and every Tuesday.
Absolutely.
Tell the people we can follow you if you're not already on
You
Twitter.
can follow me at Regé-Jean, Twitter Regejean, ditto on Instagram at Regé-Jean. Am I on anything else? There's a Facebook somewhere as well.
Well, we will find you. It's been such a pleasure. You guys, we'll be back next Thursday at 10 p.m. I'm Keith Andre. You can follow me all over social media at Keith_Andre.
And I'm Tori Broussard. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Tori_Broussard.
And I'm Elle Marie. You guys can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at Elle Marie TV.
And I'm Takira Shabrae. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Takira_Shabrae.
Alrighty, later.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.